They are banning Dr. Seuss books. How much more do you need to see before all of America wakes up and goes, this is fascism?
Oh, I love it, dude. This is Glenn Beck. If you're unfamiliar, he's a famous far-right bomb thrower, if you will. He owns the Blaze TV, I think. He's the founder and leader of the Blaze, isn't he? It's like a conservative talk show kind of network or whatever. Steven Crowder was on it until recently. You got Steve Deese and a bunch of other famous extremists. This guy is a Mormon, as it turns out. Well, anyways, back in 2021, when this video came out, early March 2021 originally, there was a culture war issue over Dr. Seuss and Mr. Potato Head. Okay, so Dr. Seuss, the company that owns the intellectual property, decided that they weren't going to continue print of some old 1940s, 1950s, Dr. Seuss books. They were old and out of date and just, they had some racist stuff in them that was kind of weird and questionable. So why even continue publishing? Like, people aren't even buying these, to my knowledge anyways. Not in any kind of serious numbers. So there's no real point, right? The right melted down over this. Oh my God, they lost their minds. And around the same time, the company that owns Mr. Potato Head as like an intellectual thing, the company that sells Mr. Potato Head was called Mr. Potato Head. And they changed their name from Mr. Potato Head to Potato Head. The company changed the name. They didn't change the name of the product, the doll or whatever it is. It was just a company changing their name. So we have an example of a company changing their name and another company choosing not to continue publishing an old book from like the 40s or the 50s. And Glenn Beck seems to believe that this is fascism. Super fascinating to hear from somebody in a political party that is actively, right now, banning books en masse, particularly in Florida. Anyway, let's listen to the rest of this clip, see what else he had to say about fascism. And then we're going to talk about Ron DeSantis and others banning books and the bizarre path that these people are going down right now and how quickly it turned from claiming book banning is fascism to advocating for book banning. Continue listening. This is early March 2021.
This is fascism. This is fascism. You don't destroy books.
Such a fascinating take for a Republican to have right now, right? 2021, this was an acceptable thing to say. 2023, no longer.
What is wrong with us, America? Go out and buy those books today. Find out if you can get them. Buy Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. Because it's the end of an era. It is the end of freedom in America.
The end of freedom. He says it's the end of freedom in America. Because a company changed their name from Mr. Potato Head to Potato Head. Because they don't just sell Mr. Potato Head. They sell Mrs. Potato Head also. Scandalous. I don't know exactly when it happened, but there was some point in there somewhere where we moved from them talking about books, book banning being bad, to this kind of thing. This is Doug Mastriano. He was the gubernatorial candidate, ran for governor in Pennsylvania in the 2022 midterms. He lost, of course, to the Democrat. But listen to what he said leading up to the election, late October 2022.
On day one, the sexualization of our kids, pole dancing, and all this other crap that's going on will be forbidden in our schools.
Pole dancing in schools. Okay, go on.
On day one, all the graphic books that are in elementary schools will be pulled out.
That's not happening. That's completely made up.
On day one and done, critical race theory is out the window. Yep.
it's not even real. He has no idea what critical race theory even is. I mean, yes, it's a real thing, but he has no clue how it's used or what it's for. It's not in any schools below graduate level, below master's or PhD, basically.
That's right. Yeah. Come on.
So, yeah, anyway, that's where the Republican Party stands now. That's where they are now. In fact, I'm going to talk more about where the Republican Party is right now. But first, since you're talking about book banning and everything else and how evil it is, let's talk about what's happening in Florida right now. This is actually kind of difficult to find. You know why? Because Ron DeSantis, the current governor of Florida, has flooded the Google search engine optimization with his own stuff. Like, he's trying to push his own pages to the very top of Google search rankings. So when I go to google.com and I just type in DeSantis book ban. So Washington Post is the very top result, right? And that seems to be against book bans and against Ron DeSantis. That's the top one. But just about everything past that is pro Ron DeSantis and pro book banning. Penn America. Florida book bans are no hoax. Here are the facts. Okay, that one is also seemingly, apparently positive toward books and against book banning. But number 3 result, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, flgov.com. It's Ron DeSantis' website. Number 3 result. You have any idea how hard it is to get to the very top of a search ranking, even on the first page of Google? This dude must have spent tens of thousands of dollars to get to the top results for DeSantis book banning SEO. That's crazy. And then just about everything after that is all pro DeSantis, pro book banning. You know, DeSantis fights book banning criticism in Florida. Governor Ron DeSantis, Florida banning books is a nasty hoax. Ron DeSantis addresses book ban controversy. I mean, it's all pro DeSantis stuff. Florida book ban hoax. DeSantis says Florida removing graphic materials. I had to go down pretty far. I mean, NPR was the first one that I really clicked here. The first one that I really trusted. I mean, Washington Post is okay, but it's owned by Amazon, and so NPR is decent. So let's just look at the NPR article and see what it says about Ron DeSantis banning books en masse right now. Fun fact, I actually lived in Tampa, Florida for a couple of years with Alpha Force Zero, and it was rough. It was rough living there. I didn't make much money and stuff. But anyways, that's right next to St. Petersburg and Clearwater. Clearwater is like the headquarters of Scientology. Anyway, that's what they're talking about in this article. Students in the St. Petersburg area are protesting a book ban imposed by a school district using a new state law. A new training video for librarians warns not to shelf books that could be challenged. This week, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis called reports of book bans in Florida a hoax, but for one school district in Tampa Bay area, it's real. As Kerry Sheridan reports from member station WUSF, students have been fighting the removal of Toni Morrison's novel, The Bluest Eye. And a warning, the story contains mention of... It was standing room only at the Pinellas County School Board meeting in mid-February. Near the door, sandwiched in with a crowd of students, was Largo High English teacher Heidi Arndt. There are like a ton of pictures of Florida libraries with bare shelves. It's disturbing. Here are just a few pictures of a Florida library with empty shelves. They had to remove basically everything because if they don't, they're at serious risk of repercussions from the governor. What was that? It's on the tip of my tongue. What was it?
They are banning Dr. Seuss books. How much more do you need to see before all of America wakes up and goes, this is fascism?
They never cared about Dr. Seuss being banned or books being banned. In fact, they're in favor of books being banned. I'm talking Republicans like Glenn Beck, Ron DeSantis, and all the others. They're in favor of it. They're just in favor of the books they don't like being banned. And I'm not even talking like explicitly bad books that really shouldn't be out there. I'm talking really vanilla books. George Takei's memoir, The book Mouse, about somebody surviving the Holocaust. The book 1984 by George Orwell. All this stuff is explicitly banned in a lot of Florida districts and has not been approved by Ron DeSantis. The new law that he passed basically says he has to explicitly approve any books that go into certain libraries in certain contexts. So that way he's not technically banning books. He's banning everything. He's only approving what he wants. Heidi Arndt says, I feel like I'm living on the pages of a dystopian novel, and it's a frightening time to be a teacher, and there's a big slew of our students right there. She points to dozens of students filling the seats in the school board chambers waiting for their turn to speak. There is irony in banning books when so many of the greatest works of literature warn us of the repercussions of doing so. Andrew Larson, I believe that the decision to ban the book was made hastily and without proper procedures. Prisha Shirdiwala, even though others may not want to read this in public, as young humans, some of us who will be adults in less than a year, we are capable of engaging with these challenging ideas. Sheridan, those were high school students Hannah Hippolito, Andrew Larson, and Prisha Shirdiwala. At issue are 2 pages of The Bluest Eye, a novel first published in 1970. Those passages describe a father attacking his daughter. The parent who brought the complaint didn't come to this meeting. Instead, Michelle Still voiced her concerns in a YouTube video. Nemo Nova, Owen, did you hear about parents wanting the Bible to be banned? Sorry, can't remember the state, and the writer losing their minds over it. Yeah, I heard. There's a massive book ban right now, and as it turns out, the Bible is actually pretty bad. There are a few lines in there about, Lot and his 2 daughters, I think. After they fled the city, the daughters wanted to make babies with him, basically, and it was pretty descriptive. Also, the book of Song of Solomon is pretty descriptive, like really descriptive. Oh, my God. Talk about graphic books. Look no further than the Bible, really. And Christians seem to be totally fine with that. They seem to have no problem with the fact that there's some stuff in that book, in those multiple spots, that's questionable at best. Maybe children should not be exposed to. They don't care. Never did. So there's this book. What was it? Blue Eyes, I think. The Bluest Eye. Okay. Not just blue eyes. It's the bluest ones. Anyways, The Bluest Eye has a section in there that's kind of questionable. Yeah. But the Bible is actually significantly worse than The Bluest Eye. Significantly. But they want their kids to read the Bible constantly. In fact, they don't care which section they read. They can read the really, really graphic sections if they want. I know I certainly had free reign to the Song of Solomon if I chose to read it. That stuff is really, really graphic. Nobody seemed to have a problem with it. It's when the books that they don't like exist in libraries that they decide to do something about it. It's pure, unadulterated hypocrisy all the way down. They never cared about a book containing something questionable. Never cared about it. Never cared about the kids. They cared about using kids to enact their political goals. That's it. People have always used children to their own political ends, to accomplish their own political goals. Children are a really useful tool to use against your political enemies. And that's why we're watching the right do it right now. What happened to banning books as fascism? What happened to that? What happened to don't ban information?
This is fascism.
What happened to it? Unfortunately, the Republican Party is going completely off the deep end now. They don't have an interest in simply banning books that they don't really like or trust. You remember what our old buddy Doug Mastriano said, right? You know, if he had just left it at ban books that are explicitly and specifically intended to be graphic, okay, maybe that shouldn't be in a classroom, I guess, whatever. But he didn't leave it there. That's not what's happening.
On day 1, the sexualization of our kids, pole dancing, and all this other crap that's going on will be forbidden in our schools.
Dude thinks there's pole dancing happening in schools, or at least pretends to think that. That's what's happened to the Republican Party. They use the pretext that there's straight up full-blown being put into school libraries, and they're just removing that, when that's simply not the case. Listen to Steve Deese, also a member of The Blaze, mid-March 2023. This is what Steve Deese had to say. A fellow host like Glenn Beck, basically, on the same network.
Can you watch a program without, literally, live sporting event, news show, whether we're covering them, talking about them, promoting them? Can you listen to a podcast that doesn't include some reference to drag queens today?
Okay, well, I mean, I didn't bring that up until just now, to my knowledge, so there's that, and it's only because this guy is talking about it. Sporting events? He thinks that drag queens are being brought up at sporting events? This is what I'm talking about. With the book banning stuff, it's all in their heads. All of it. They think everybody else is obsessed with, what they're trying to ban or whatever. Like, nobody cares. Nobody else cares about drag queens. Nobody else cares about this graphic material in books or whatever. No one is looking for this stuff. Why are you so hyper-focused on it? It's like, it's a problem now, right? Like, what is going on with these people's heads?
Is it possible? Anywhere, pro or con.
Are there sporting events that are not talking about drag queens? Is that what he just asked? Are there any that do?
I mean, they're as mainstream as it gets. Even when RuPaul is saying, we're the ones that come in and groom the kids. That's what he means.
I don't know who RuPaul is. I don't know even what he's talking about, so I can't respond to that. But I would put money on the idea that this guy just completely made that up and twisted it out of proportion.
We're the ones that come in and groom the kids. Pedo groomers should be executed, by the way.
Okay, wow. Well, for what it's worth, he's not talking about pedos, actually. He's talking about the LGBT community. He wants the LGBT community to be subjected to...
After a fair trial, of course.
A trial, presumably, and then execution afterward. LGBT community. And, even assuming that he was being straightforward about it and not talking about the LGBT community, that is a wicked extreme take, dude. This guy is absolutely obsessed with sexual goings-on. He sees it around every corner. Can you watch a sporting event without hearing about drag queens? Really? A sporting event? What sporting events? This is all that's on their mind 24/7. Listen to this clip from Steve Deese, again, from the Blaze Network, Glenn Beck's network, late October 2022.
The Democratic Party...
Wow, that click with his tongue blew out my eardrum just now. That was crazy loud. I wish I could click my tongue like that. That's crazy. That was like, that's got to be a skill, right? Does somebody have a competition that you can enter where you practice clicking your tongue that loud? How does one go about perfecting something like that? That's truly impressive.
The Democratic Party is not a political party. It is one in name only. It is a demonic construct. Call it what it is.
This is dangerous road right here. This is really, really disturbing. This is exactly what happened in 1930s Germany. This exact thing. This exact type of verbiage. And for what it's worth, this exact type of wording took place in Rwanda in the lead up to the Rwandan genocide too. The same type of language was spoken. These same ideas espoused. This guy has problems, and he's not making it super obvious or not so blatantly obvious that he could be arrested for it, but he's definitely calling for violence here in a veiled way.
Call it what it is. You're voting for a demonic construct. You're not compassionate. You're not tolerant. You're not kind. You're anything but. You're voting for dudes teabagging their hairy sacks on children at public libraries.
What? Oh my God. I'm going to fall over. What the hell is happening right now? They're doing what? Oh my God. Okay, let me just... You know what? Let him cook. Let him cook. Maybe he's got a point. Let's just hear him out and see if he explains himself, okay?
You're voting for dudes teabagging their hairy sacks on children at public libraries and public schools. You're voting for that. That's what you're...
I don't remember that. I've been to plenty of public libraries, literally never seen that happen anywhere ever. Okay?
That's what you're for. You're for it.
I'm not, actually. I'm not for that. I'm actually opposed to something like that.
If you are a part of this, if you vote for this, you are aiding and abetting a demonic construct, a satanically influenced entity, and a death cult.
Wow, dude. Okay, that was just, I don't even know. What was that? Somebody please tell me what that was. That was unhinged from reality in the truest sense. That was absolutely nuts, dude. What am I listening to right now? Okay, listen to this one. Late September 2022. Again, this is where the Republican Party is, okay? They believe that this is what happens at libraries. They're just books, okay? They're just books. And they're not even, like, explicit books. Yeah, maybe one line in a couple of these books is like a little bit explicit. That's life. Welcome to the world. That's what it's about. You know, you're going to come across some stuff you don't like in the world. You have to put up with it. It's part of living in a society. No, instead, they want to ban it. They want to ban anything they don't like or understand. And in an effort to ban everything they don't like or understand, they're going to make wild, baseless claims about people doing things with their stuff on your kids at places. What? This is crazy. What is happening, dude? This is funny, actually. Okay, late September 2022. Listen to this one. My God, can it get crazier than this? Can this guy top it?
We all, I think, understand. And if you don't worry. I'm going to keep leaning on you until you...
Great. Okay. Fantastic. Keep leaning on me like your mom did last night.
Get there. We all, I think, by now understand the old model of going to a happy-go-lucky church, watching Fox News all week long in between, and then being the silent majority and voting for the red wave to save us.
Okay, none of that is accurate, but all right.
Is a relic of a bygone era and won't cut it.
Oh, you know when he gets really, really quiet, he's about to say something. Okay. He's about to say something psychotic, right? Let's... All right, let's listen. Let's see what this crazy thing is he's about to say. I'm not even going to pause it in the middle. I'm just going to let the pause ride.
It doesn't matter which rhino you decide to vote for Congress.
Okay, I thought that was going to be a lot more psychotic at the end of the pause, dude. I don't know what to expect with this guy anymore after that last one. That was crazy. That was a wicked long pause, though. All right, go on. I'm listening. God.
Which rhino you decide to vote for Congress. They're teabagging your kids at the public library down the street, which...
Wow, okay, I guess this is like his thing. This is what he says. That takes you off guard hard when you hear that, right? Oh my God. That's really funny. I love it. Okay. Go on.
Decide to vote for Congress. They're teabagging your kids at the public library down the street with drag queens. We're beyond this now. We're beyond it.
Does he believe this? Does he really think this is actually literally happening? I have to wonder. Seriously. I mean, if this is happening, obviously it would be against the law, right? And it would be super easy to just send a cop down there to stop it. But does he think, like, the cops are in on it or something? What? How does he believe that this process is playing out? And why does he have Ruth Bader Ginsburg on his sticker on his laptop? That's weird. What does his mug say? It's got to be something crazy, right? Couldn't something... overturned something without her. Couldn't hear overturned Roe without her? I think is what it says. Okay. Wow. Keep listening here.
With drag queens. We're beyond this now. We're beyond it. As I said last hour, at this point, with very...
And somebody says, what is teabagging? Somebody help me out here. How do I describe this in a monetizer-friendly way? All right. Imagine that you're making a cup of tea, and you have a tea bag, right? A little tea bag. Now imagine that tea bag is actually part of your anatomy, okay? And imagine that the cup is part of your mouth or somebody else's mouth, you know? And, you know, you're kind of dipping the tea bag in the cup because the cup, that's kind of the idea. I'm doing my best here. Somebody whoever edits this, if it's me or my other person, I'm sorry. There's so much work that needs to be done with the editing on this. I'm trying. Crouches up and down real fast in someone's face. Okay. That's a decent explanation, I suppose. Squatting on someone. There's also a mushroom stamp, and that's a little bit different, I think. Anyway, he apparently believes that's what's happening right now at libraries.
We're beyond it. As I said last hour, at this point, with very limited exceptions, elections in America are total depravity versus managed decay.
Total depravity. He is just in a completely different reality than everybody else, right? Or, well, you know what? I think he's actually in the same reality as most other Republicans. He's just in a different reality than, like, the rest of the world. Just unhinged stuff, dude. That is really funny, though, I've got to say. That's hilarious that he believes this. Jesus Christ, dude. Just unhinged stuff. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. I think that's hilarious. I mean, it's a bad harbinger for democracy that he believes this, but oh my God, is that funny.